It's known as a silent problem and often a hidden problem. We're talking about domestic violence, which affects 1 in 4 Minnesota women. Experts say isolation and tension with the COVID-19 pandemic have led to a spike in abuse. Isolation is often a reason many immigrants don't seek help when they're abused in this country. A Brooklyn Park women's advocate is trying to change that by helping African immigrant victims get back on their feet. Here's reporter Sonia Goins.
The woman who shows up today is not who I was even 5 years ago.
To look at Comfort Dondo, you wouldn't know the hardships she's endured. Born and raised in Zimbabwe, Dondo moved to Minnesota when she was 17 to attend college.
And I've been living in Minnesota now for the last 17 years.
She was living the American dream. She got married and soon afterwards was expecting a child. But after that, her life changed.
He was saying he was not ready for the baby. And so he started doing things to punish me so that I would have an abortion.
Dondo says her husband at the time mentally and physically abused her.
He would do things like not provide food, because that time I was still in between my immigration status and getting a green card. And so sometimes I'll go without food and I didn't have access to transportation. I was isolated.
She dealt with abusive language on a daily basis.
I'll call names, very belittling.
Dondo says the abuse continued even after the birth of her son.
And I was trying to seek out help or counseling, but he got upset when I was bringing those issues and he threw glasses, like martini glasses, at me. And then I was very terrified. I called the police. When they came, they didn't talk to me much. They actually talked to him.
She became homeless for several years, but she didn't let that stop her from continuing college and eventually breaking free of her former husband.
It took me a lot of years of therapy to start to feel beautiful and to start to believing in myself.
She now has a purpose for her pain. In 2016, Dondo founded the nonprofit group Phumulani, which aims to prevent domestic and sexual abuse in communities of color in Minnesota.
We are based in Brooklyn Park. We operate out of Minneapolis as well as St. Paul. In fact, we serve all African immigrants.
Dondo says African immigrant women face extraordinary challenges when it comes to domestic violence.
They also have multifacets of other issues they're dealing with besides just the violence. So they're dealing with past trauma. Most of us have come from war-torn countries, or they're also dealing with their immigration.
The advocate says abusers often use immigration status as a way to control victims.
When an abuser is using immigration status, a woman might be reluctant to calling the police. We historically don't have good relations with police or trusting relationship with police.
Dondo says she plans on working with the Brooklyn Park Police Department to bridge cultural differences and to build trust between African victims and police officers.
We don't care what their immigration status is, and we don't even ask. We're out in the community trying to gain community's trust in calling us, and not only to gain the community's trust in calling us, but to successfully handle their case.
Detective Shane Husaric says domestic violence cases are up this year. He says it might have something to do with the courts not processing cases during the pandemic for over a year.
And over that time, our victims have been victimized multiple times over by the same suspects.
Brooklyn Park Police have 2 domestic abuse advocates in-house. They also have a domestic violence prevention coordinator and a mental health specialist.
We're essentially a one-stop shop.
Meanwhile, Comfort Dondo says she will continue working on herself as she continues to advocate for others.
So much better, but it's not been easy. Yeah, it has not been easy.
In Brooklyn Park, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
There are many places available to help domestic abuse victims. Minnesota Day One, a statewide program, can assist people experiencing domestic violence. We have a list of domestic violence resources on our web pages as well, ccxmedia.org.
Find more local news stories at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.